Good day, happy Monday, and welcome to Dub's Paradise. I'm Dub, short for Big Dub, and remember, always have a plan of action when you go to an all-you-can-eat. You don't want to be full after half an hour, so always plan your day accordingly. I was eating for 3 hours straight on Saturday. Today we're going to talk about the Champions League quarterfinals draws. We're going to talk about Chelsea's FA Cup results and some other great matches over the weekend. We'll talk about the finale of Indian Wells. We're going to talk about some good NFL news. And we'll go into a bit of NBA, NHL, and the MLB as the seasons get closer. Okay, so on Friday, I believe the matchups for the quarterfinals of the Champions League came out after an exciting final week of the round of 16. So now we're down to only 8 teams, and I'm sure you're all aware, but just to if you're not aware, the matchups are Dortmund versus Atletico, Arsenal versus Bayern, PSG versus Barcelona, and Man City versus Real Madrid. So those are going to be a couple of 4 exciting matchups. So Dortmund versus Atletico. Dortmund from Germany, Atletico from Spain. I'm by no means a fan of Spain. I'm not really a fan of their culture or anything about them really, because I'm sure you're all aware of how they treat certain people in Spain, and even if you're not from there. Real Madrid is different because they seem to be more of a world team rather than just a Spain team. But politics aside, I prefer Dortmund to move on and win that game. Win that tie in the quarterfinals, go to the semifinals. I believe like Atletico, they really got past Inter Milan because Milan really slacked off in that tie. They won the first game and then they couldn't manage to pull it off in penalties or play good enough defense to keep Atletico from moving on. Dortmund, they're a strong team. They're a strong defense. They're a strong core of players. They may not be maybe the most talented at every position, but they're a good core. And when it comes down to at least winning one game or getting a few goals and preventing the team from scoring another goal, they'll be able to do that quite well. Over the weekend, they won their Bundesliga match, I believe 3-1, so they have some good momentum. I'm not quite exactly sure when the Champions League is going to resume, maybe in 3 weeks or so in April, but they should be ready for that because then they're not really close to winning the Bundesliga. So all they have to focus on is pretty much Champions League. I think Ian Maatsen really made a difference for them because like I feel like when I'm watching them, their defensive line is like the back 4 quite strong, but I wouldn't say they necessarily playmakers. Like they're good, they can do the job, but I don't think they're playmakers. And Ian Maatsen on that team really helps them push the ball forward. He can find people in the box. He can find people from across the pitch, get it to them, and start running himself to try to draw people away from the play and make more space for his team. I don't know their record since he got there, but in the Champions League, they've been doing quite well with Ian Maatsen. And Chelsea, I don't know about, like, they have like the position that Ian Maatsen plays. Chelsea has good players. What they need is a couple of players in the middle, center back, right center back, left center back, that sort of thing. So I'll give my predictions for Dortmund versus Atletico and all the other Champions League matchups as we get closer to those ties. So the next matchup is Arsenal versus Bayern, and that is going to be a tough one to predict. Bayern, after kind of slacking off in the first tie of the round of 16, they dominated the second at home. Arsenal, same thing. They lost the first tie and then they won in penalty kicks. Who's having a better season between Bayern and Arsenal? Like, Arsenal, you would say, is having a better season in the Premier League. Bayern, they're used to being in Champions League. They know what it takes to at least go a bit further in the Champions League. Arsenal has a lot of skilled players on the forward and midfield area. Bayern has a lot of skilled players mostly everywhere on the pitch. It's just that they seem to not be doing well in the Bundesliga this season. I think they're maybe, 10 points back. It's a long road to climb, but they have Champions League to try to win and try to go out with a bang. Just try to have some motivation. If I wanted to pick this matchup, I wouldn't really be biased towards any team. I would just pick it based on who I think would win, I guess. Like, for example, I was kind of biased picking Dortmund, but they are better than Atletico. But we'll see what happens. But Arsenal versus Bayern, I would say that'd be a good matchup. Like Harry Kane, Jamal Musiala, Sané, Alphonso Davies, and then and more, but I don't know their exact lineup. Arsenal, you got Saka, you got Trossard, you got Odegaard, you got Declan Rice, and a few other great players too. It's gonna be a tough game. It might be one of those games where whoever plays at home last might win, or it might go to a penalty kick, but I have no clue who's gonna win that. In my bracket, which might go back and forth from now till the game actually starts, I picked. Let's see who I picked. Maybe. I think I picked Bayern. See, I don't even know because it's so close. Because I know I picked one, and then I went back on my word and I picked another team, and then went back and I went back to what it was before. But the Champions League app has a bracket where you can pick the winners and maybe win a prize if you get them all right. But it's only gonna be not too many matchups to pick. So you could get perfect if you're good, but I don't know what the prize would be. You should probably try to pick scores too. That'd make it more difficult. Yeah. So currently in my bracket, I have Bayern winning. That can go differently based on results from their domestic leagues, and maybe injuries could happen between now and then. Hopefully not, but right now I have Bayern winning. I think they're just like a stronger Champions League team, even though they aren't doing so well this season in the Bundesliga. But Thomas Tuchel, he's got to really come out with a plan against Mikel Arteta's team because he's strong. But hey, Arsenal barely got past who they play again? Porto. Arsenal barely got past Porto. So we'll see what happens in the weeks ahead leading up to the quarterfinal ties. So the next Champions League draw, which is probably going to be, well, another good one, of course, with two great teams. It's going to be Paris Saint-Germain versus Barcelona. And that is, I mean, one of, like, when I was predicting who would play each other, I got that one right. Um, and I wanted to see this matchup. I think these two sides have a good history. PSG, I mean, they never won a Champions League before. Kylian Mbappe is going out this season, so he might want to. Well, he always has motivation to score. He always can create his goals, even if he doesn't have motivation to score. Even if he's like feeling sick one day or feeling not motivated one day, he can score goals because that's just what he does. Like did he get a hat trick over the weekend or just two goals? But I think he scored his 250th goal in League One over the weekend. Okay. It's gonna be tough to like. This is gonna be an exciting tie too because Barcelona, they've won multiple Champions Leagues. They aren't doing so well this year in La Liga. They they won their last game on the weekend, which is great for them. Ex Chelsea player João Felix scored, but I don't know if it was that close. I think it was like 3-0 for Barcelona over the weekend. PSG, like I said, won like 6-2 over Montpellier. Great city, but I guess the football team is not great, but it's okay. The only good team in France is practically Paris Saint-Germain, and when it comes to Champions League, they've been bowing out quite early, like around like they're expected to make it this far. Now they're facing Barcelona. They got to try to beat them and try to impress for at least next season. See what they can do without Mbappe, but he's gonna be playing, and Mbappe is gonna be getting ready to face Barcelona. He's gonna be in a few El Clasicos if he goes to Real Madrid. So now he wants to get used to playing Barcelona, and that should be a great tie. I'll give my prediction, like I said, later on. But if I'm picking with bias, which I most likely will a bit, I would pick Paris Saint-Germain because I'm a big fan of France and not a big fan of Spain, like I said. And the next matchup, or the final matchup in the Champions League quarterfinal draws, is going to be the juggernauts Man City versus Real Madrid. Last year in the Champions League, they played each other. And yeah, as you know, Man City won that. This year, it could be the same thing. You saw Real Madrid struggle. Like, they didn't go to penalty kicks like Arsenal did or like Atletico did, but they should have handled who they played in the round of 16 a bit easier. It seems like, especially during their home game, when it seemed like they just barely got out of that with the victory, which would have been not impressive for a team like Real Madrid. And like I said, they're most likely like a world team, not just a Spain team. So if I'm picking Man City versus Real Madrid, I wouldn't pick with bias. And I like Jude Bellingham. I enjoy watching play a lot. I'll get into that more a bit later on, because usually I would say like he's the best I've seen, but there's another player who's taken his spot. There's another player which we'll go into in a bit. So Man City versus Real Madrid. I didn't like a matchup like this. I wouldn't want to see in the quarterfinals. Like, you know, I'd rather see it in the championship finals. I don't know why Man City and Madrid have to play each other right now. Like, I rather, like I was saying in my previous episode, I'd rather see Man City play, I don't know, like Atletico or Real Madrid play like like Bayern or something like that, just so they can. There should be some good matchups, but it wouldn't be like the two best teams. So, like I'm pretty sure if it was Man City and Real Madrid in the Champions League finals, it would draw like unbelievable numbers, which would probably happen. So now I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it should be a great tie. Last year, Man City won, and maybe Real Madrid, maybe they'll come out in December and win again and win this time. But maybe they're just waiting for Mbappe to come back so they can have some more firepower to win. So those were the draws. Dortmund versus Atletico, Arsenal versus Bayern, PSG versus Barcelona, and Man City versus Real Madrid. So pretty much the winners of Atletico and Dortmund will face the winner of Paris and Barcelona in the semifinals, and the winners of Arsenal and Bayern will face the winner of Real Madrid and Man City in the semifinals, and then obviously the winners from those will go to the finals. Yeah. So I'll just say, so right now, my predictions for which, just based on my bracket, which could change at any moment, are Dortmund moving on, Paris moving on, Bayern moving on, and Man City moving on to the semifinals. And then I have Paris beating Dortmund, I have Man City beating Bayern, and then I have Man City beating PSG in the Champions League finals, which we'll see what happens at Wembley. Maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll change to PSG winning, because I want to see Kylian Mbappe win with PSG before he goes. That'd be great, but we'll see what happens. I'll update my predictions as we get closer, like I've said before. So also over the weekend, if you can't go without some stress from Chelsea, from the famous Chelsea Football Club, who's not doing great this season, but lately they've been doing rather well. I mean, I would say rather well. They managed to get a win in their FA Cup. Now they're going to the semifinals, and they're gonna have to face Man City in the semifinals of the FA Cup, which is kind of unfortunate because you got teams like Coventry in the semifinals, you got teams like Manchester United in the semifinals, but we had to face Man City. I'd rather face Man City in the... Well, you know what? I'm confident. This season, we tied Man City 4-4, and we tied Man City 1-1. So, anything can happen. Really, anything can happen. Maybe we'll go to penalty kicks and we'll win that like that. But it's just the defense. Our defense, they're struggling. They're really struggling. Like, not like the right and the left backs, but the center backs. But we'll get into that. So Chelsea on the weekend, they beat Leicester 4-2. They got up 2-0 off goals by Cucurella, who was playing right back, and then Cole Palmer scored to make it 2-0 before halftime. So for Cucurella's goal, it was just a perfect breakout. They had the ball from their penalty box, and Caicedo passed to, I forgot who it was, and then Nico Jackson got the ball, and he used his great speed, his great skill. He hasn't really been doing much wrong these days. Like, these past few games, he's been so consistent, and he's just getting stronger as the season goes along, and he just plays great off the ball, plays great on the ball. He's clever with his tactics, with his footwork, with what he tries to do. He can see he's getting better at doing everything. And he ran down the wing, used great footwork, passed the ball to a wide open Cucurella, Bam, tap into an open net, 1-0. Great goal for Cucurella. Great assist for Nico Jackson, who's been doing rather well these days, like I said. So the next goal was scored by who else but Mr. Cole Palmer. And it's pretty cold in my room right now. Like, it was good weather like last week, a few weeks ago, and now it's like 2 degrees, so it's cold. That's why I'm wearing long sleeves under this shirt. But yeah, Cole Palmer. What else do you expect from him to score? It was a similar sort of tap in, but it wasn't as wide open to as Cucurella's was. Sterling, the one good thing he did was pass the ball to, it's like, instead of shoot, the one good thing he did was pass the ball to Cole Palmer, who just finished it neatly, exquisitely, and that was a nice goal. I mean, now we're going to get into it. Jude Bellingham is a great player, scores great goals. He got off to a fire start in Real Madrid, and everyone was like, and even me, oh, the best player I've seen, etc., etc. He's doing great. Real Madrid is winning games. But Cole Palmer has just been consistent all year long, either scoring goals or getting assists. Some games he's kind of taken away from the game because they're marking him rather well. But I don't watch Real Madrid, and some games that happens to Jude Bellingham. It just seemed that whenever Real Madrid needed a goal, Jude Bellingham was there to score it. But I wouldn't say they were facing, because La Liga is different than Premier League. It's much harder to score goals in the Premier League than it is in La Liga if you're a stacked team like Real Madrid. And when I saw Cole Palmer play for the first time, I was like, you got to play him as if you would play Jude Bellingham. And I mean, it's not like they heard me, but he's been feeling more confident, taking more responsibility, and getting more assists, getting more goals. So he's taking great shots and scoring. And when Chelsea's needed him, he's come up big, just like yesterday, 2-0 to score 2-0. But yeah, it seemed to be like a tap-in goal. But if it was, Jude Bellingham, they'd be going crazy. It seems like only Chelsea fans are going crazy. But if Jude scores it, it's like trending on Twitter. It's like that sort of thing. But you can't really blame people because like I said, Real Madrid is up in the standings in La Liga. Chelsea is 11th place in Premier League. But they've been doing well in their tournament games. So now they're going to semifinals. Cole Palmer, this season, he's combined for about 26 goals and assists in all competitions, which is world class. That's more than what Jude Bellingham has contributed, I believe. So Cole Palmer, I don't want to say he's the best in the world, but this season, he on a team like Chelsea, who hasn't really been showing greatness, he's been the one great player every single game, just like Conor Gallagher and just like Nico Jackson is starting to be. But Cole Palmer all year long has been doing this, and he is incredible, absolutely incredible. And he has his respect. It's not like Nico Jackson, who still has to earn his respect. But Cole Palmer, what a signing. What a player. I hope he stays on Chelsea for his entire career because he can win trophies with us. We're the ones who gave him his start. Let's go. On the bench with Man City, they're like, you want more playing time? You can go to Chelsea. And look what he's done. In the Premier League, I might add. So, after halftime of that game, Chelsea was up 2-0 and looked like they were, on their way to a nice victory. And then an own goal. The most blatant own goal by Axel Disasi. And I'm a fan of him. He's been kind of impressive this year, but since that Man City game where we drew them and he was like clearing the box like crazy, he's been making some mistakes. He has been, and it all mounted up to to this game where he was under pressure, sure, but he literally kicked the ball back and it went into his own net, and that made it 2-1. Like, and it wasn't like it was close, like it was from far out, like almost at halfway. He kicked the ball back, looking to get to Sanchez, who we'll go into a bit more later on too, and Disasi kicked the ball to Sanchez, and Sanchez was nowhere in sight, and he totally an own goal just like that, 2-1. And I'm watching. I'm like thinking like, are these guys professionals or what? Like, what are you doing? Like, how do you make a mistake like that? Like, it's really just terrible. And then every time Disasi got the ball around like that area, like his area, like around Sanchez, etc. The Leicester fans were like, shoot. It's like taunting him and all that, and it's just terrible. You don't want to have to do that kind of stuff, man. You don't want to go through that as a footballer. You don't, especially in England. You do not. So that was just a horrendous play, and because of that, it seemed like Leicester got more confidence. Their player was going down the wing against Malo Gusto, who, no complaints about Malo Gusto. Sometimes he can go the wrong way, but it wasn't like he was going the wrong way. He was just trying to lead the player in a way he was uncomfortable with. But then the player went down the middle, or went towards the middle, and took a great shot with great curl, great bend, and got it right past Sanchez, make it 2-2. And meanwhile, Chelsea fans I'm watching, just like, oh my gosh, like, this has to happen, like, all the time. You just can't have a smooth game. Like, Leicester is first place in the championship, but they're a championship team. They got relegated last year. It shouldn't be this way. You shouldn't be making these kind of mistakes. Or it shouldn't be 2-2. Like, after you score 2, you gotta score 3, you gotta score 4. So it was 2-2. You got Sterling on the pitch doing absolutely nothing. Like I said, he made a pass to Cole Palmer and allowed Palmer to score, but Raheem Sterling, his first touch off a Nico Jackson pass where he could have shot and scored, was in the back, was just horrendous. I was like, is that Mudryk's first touch? Mudryk is another story, because last game he played, like on Sunday, Mudryk played fantastic. So it seems like he's starting to come around. He's got to start every game. I feel like if Enzo was playing, Enzo was suspended last game against Leicester, but if Enzo played, I feel like maybe Sterling wouldn't have started. I don't want to see Sterling start for the rest of the games. I just put Mudryk in there. Get ready for next season, because Sterling will be gone, maybe to Saudi Arabia, who knows where, but Mudryk needs the experience, and he's impressive. He's been good, no complaints. Yesterday I didn't see the ball hit off his foot at all. As a matter of fact, he was gonna get a goal, but like the story I was telling with the pass from Jackson to Raheem Sterling went off Sterling's foot, and he didn't get the shot off. And then meanwhile, he's standing in the way of the goal. Mudryk tries to shoot, and bam, right off is Raheem Sterling. So he blocked his own player's shot, just standing there like a statue, doing nothing after he missed. And not only that, he took the most absurd penalty kick I've ever seen him. Like, okay, there's been worse, like just in the Champions League this season, or like a few days ago. Like, there's been worse penalty kicks, but for a guy like Raheem Sterling to want to insist on taking the ball and to just roll it across the ground and have a save just like that. Like, oh my gosh, I thought he was a world class player. But he just annoys me when he's on the pitch because he's selfish, and not only that, when he shoots it, it's just a terrible play. So you had, and I don't know, Cole Palmer is perfect on penalty kicks this year, and he was right there, to score the goal. Could have had 2 goals yesterday, but he gave the ball selflessly to Raheem Sterling, and embarrassing shot. Later in the game, there's Jackson almost drew a penalty, but he was just outside the box, and it was either going to be Palmer who's shooting or Raheem Sterling who's shooting, and Raheem Sterling went up, shot the ball, and this is the net. The ball went into the crowd, into the concourse, back into Fulham Broadway station. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, and the camera after that panned to the fans in the crowd, and they're just shaking their heads. Like, damn, like, who is this guy and what's he doing? But that free kick, there was a red card given to the Leicester player for fouling Jackson on a clear-cut goal opportunity. So that was a red card, and that's how Chelsea was able to win. Seems like. Well, Carney Chukwuemeka came in. Cole Palmer out of the Nico Jackson playbook, back heel pass. Carney Chukwuemeka got the ball, bam, finish it rather nicely. And if that was Raheem, and he came in for Raheem Sterling, and he scored the goal that Raheem Sterling would have totally bricked. And then it was 3-2, and then Madueke came on. Madueke, he's been inconsistent. Like when he came on in the Liverpool Carabao Cup final, he really didn't do anything impressive at all, which is sad. But when he wants to, he can do his thing. And yesterday, he came on, great footwork, and even though it was off a deflection, he still he scored, which was great, right into the top corner. So Chelsea now is going to be on international break, and they're going to come back on the 30th of March to face Burnley at home, and hopefully after some rest, after going to see your country mates for a bit, come back strong and finish the Premier League strong, finish the FA Cup strong. They don't have really tough games in the Premier League. They got to face Tottenham, they got to face Arsenal, they got to face United, but they should handle those games. They're a great team. They beat Tottenham already. They tied Arsenal. They got to get their revenge against United. So I hope they can do well with those games, especially now they're getting better. Nico Jackson's getting more consistent. Mudrik's getting more playing time, and he's showing it rather well, I believe. Okay. And just to go into a bit of the goaltenders, I mean, Sanchez, he was injured. Petrovic came in and been playing great. And yesterday, Sanchez kind of showed why he stopped playing in the major games, because he was antsy with the ball. He was coming out to catch the ball too, and he would just like airball. Like he would come out with the fist flying and miss the ball, and then be on the ground like I'm hurt, that sort of thing. Like he was trying to kick the ball away, but then the Leicester player got in front of him and almost scored on that. It was risky play. Petrovic, I haven't seen him do any of that nonsense. Petrovic, he has to just get better, making more consistent saves, maybe better positioning, maybe better awareness on like when the ball's in his penalty box. But it's hard because it's a big net, and if a player has like a clear cut shot, it's likely to be a goal unless you're and just an incredible goaltender. But it's not easy to make saves on a clear cut shot. Okay, we'll talk about some more football maybe tomorrow. It's gonna be a quiet week in football coming up. The FA Cup, that was a great game between Liverpool and United. Liverpool was up 2-1 and went to extra time because United tied it up late. In extra time, Liverpool scored, make it 3-2, and then United tied it up, make it 3-3, and then United won it. So they won that game 4-3, which is a fun game to watch. Liverpool, they should have done better. They should have done much better to finish that game out in the second half of that without going extra time. But yeah, United, Rashford finally scored. Did he score? I think he did score, and he scored the game tying goal in extra time, make it 3-3. And then he was involved in the 4-3 goal, and now they're gonna face a team like Coventry. So like, man, it seems like back-to-back years, Man United is gonna go to the FA Cup finals. We need a miracle because last year the FA Cup final was United versus Man City at Wembley, and now Chelsea is gonna face Man City, and hopefully it's not a rematch of Man City versus Man United. Hopefully it's gonna be Chelsea versus Coventry. That'd be great. That would be fantastic, and whoever wins that is gonna be guaranteed to be playing in the UEFA Cup, like the secondary league to Champions League. So hopefully United can not win against Coventry, which Coventry, I don't know much about them, but they beat the Wolves, like Wolverhampton, in their semifinal or quarterfinal matchup. So they're not going to be any pushovers. United have been inconsistent, but they always manage to get these clutch late goals after being dominated. But yeah, against Liverpool, that was pretty impressive, I gotta admit. But we'll see what happens. All I care about is Chelsea winning their game against Man City, which is going to be a great game. I'm not sure the date of it, but when I do, I'll let you know on Dub's Paradise. Okay. So over the weekend, Indian Wells wrapped up. It was a couple of a good semifinal and a good finals for the men and women's side. So in the semifinals, Sakari upset Coco Gauff in 3 sets, and then Swiatek crushed Kostyuk. And she's been making it rather far in tournaments these days, especially last year. She won like Cincinnati, she won US Open. This year she made it pretty far last year too, in like Roland Garros and Wimbledon. This year she made it okay in the Australian Open, and now Indian Wells she made it to the semifinals. But before the matchup, they were showing like Sakari versus Gauff history, and Sakari had a 4-3 lead. So I guess some players just have your number. It's hard to semifinals. It's hard to win, and Sakari's number 9 in the world. She's no pushover. So good for her for winning that semifinals. In the finals of Indian Wells, Sakari versus Swiatek. Swiatek went up 3-0 in the first set, and then Sakari kind of made it closer. Swiatek won the first set like 6-4, and then the second set was 6-0. So Swiatek won her second Indian Wells tournament. She won 2022, and then now she won 2024. And she continues to be a great tennis player. Of course, number 1 in the world. So on the men's side, On the men's side, Tommy Paul won the first set against Medvedev in the semifinals, 6-1. Seemed like Medvedev came out slow. Um, Tommy Paul had the Americans. He's playing at home in America, so they're all cheering for him, of course. And Medvedev, like I guess kind of came out a bit slow. He lost the first set 6-1, but then he won the second set in a tiebreaker, and then he cruised in the third set to win in 3 sets. And then in the blockbuster semifinal matchup, Sinner faced Carlos Alcaraz, and after a 3-hour rain delay, it seemed like Sinner was more pumped up, and Alcaraz was a bit cold. Like Alcaraz had to deal with bees against Zverev. Now he's dealing with rain against Sinner. I wanted Sinner to win because I've been a fan of him, but Alcaraz, after losing the first set 6-1, he won back-to-back sets. It seemed like Sinner was in a bit of pain, like with his wrist or with his leg, but he didn't really call for the trainer to come see him. And Alcaraz is just Alcaraz, so it just wasn't it was just a tough matchup for Sinner in the end. In the finals, it was Medvedev versus Alcaraz, a great matchup, and two great people who the fans want to see. Like one day, I gotta go to Indian Wells and watch a tournament there. That'd be great, worth the price of admission if I can afford it. Medvedev in the first set, he came out strong, came out flying. He went up 3-0 against Alcaraz, but then by that time Alcaraz got warmed up, and he came back and he won the first set in a tiebreaker, and it was a pretty close tiebreaker too. The tiebreaker was like 7-5, and then Alcaraz was just making shot after shot after shot, and then he won the second set 6-1 and secured back-to-back Indian Wells titles. But during that game, Alcaraz was making some great shots. Like there was one where I was like, "What? Like this is insane!" How he got the ball from the back of the court, shot it over the net to get to Medvedev. Medvedev, like just kind of an up court shot, and then Alcaraz like curved the ball to land behind Medvedev, still in play, and it was incredible. You gotta watch highlights of that match if you haven't seen it yet. So next up for tennis is gonna be Miami Open, the second of the second of the Sunshine Double. Alcaraz is gonna try to go get there's a saying for like the two jewels of the Sunshine Double, Miami and Indian Wells. But last year he couldn't do it. Maybe this year he'll do it. What I want to predict him to win that, I feel like Jannik Sinner is gonna come out and want to be playing strong and want to get redemption. Djokovic is not in the Miami Open, so it seems like it'll be like Medvedev, Alcaraz, maybe Zverev, Sinner, etc. going deep into that tournament. Some Americans, maybe Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz, I would put my trust in. Maybe a bit of Ben Shelton. We'll see what his draw is like, but yeah, we'll see. Tennis is a great sport to watch. It's exciting. The crowd gets amped into it, and you just love watching it. And Miami isn't as exciting as Indian Wells, but it's still a Masters 1000 ATP and WTA 1000, so it's gonna be exciting. And Miami is a great place. It's been kind of cold. Like last week, I was looking forward to maybe playing some tennis soon, and now the weather is cold. It's gonna be cold for this week. It's gonna be cold next week, so we'll see what happens in start of April. Okay. So in the NFL, like I said, over the weekend I went to an all-you-can-eat buffet. Was eating just for 3 hours straight. It was great. And then I got to my car, and I saw a friend of mine send me a message saying that Justin Fields has gone to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Boom, let's go, baby. They got him for only a 6th-round pick, and if Justin Fields has a lot of playing time, this year, then it's gonna go to a fourth round pick. But based on the news, based on what I read on ESPN, the plan for the Steelers is to have Fields back up Russell Wilson. Learn from Super Bowl champion, a veteran player who still could have some talent left in him to go far with the Steelers, especially with Mike Tomlin. Hopefully, Russell Wilson respects Mike Tomlin, doesn't go in there thinking he's all that. Just got to humble himself and play for the team and go out strong. He only signed a 1-year contract, so show what you can do with that 1 year, and maybe you can get more on a different team. Maybe you can stay on the Steelers and let Justin Fields develop into a great quarterback behind you. Come on, Russell Wilson, you can do it. I believe in you. Earlier in the day, or earlier, maybe like Friday or whenever, Saturday, Steelers traded Kenny Pickett to the Eagles, and then I was like, maybe they're getting ready to trade for a quarterback, but I didn't want to jinx it. I didn't want to get my hopes up saying they're going to get Justin Fields, but they ended up getting him, and Fields now can take it easy. Doesn't have to have so much pressure on him being number one. Russell Wilson is used to having pressure. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1, and he played rather well in both of them. He just kind of fell off a cliff when he went to Denver, but Denver is like their franchise, hasn't been doing well lately, and you can't really blame Russell Wilson for that. Denver traded Jerry Jeudy, so just didn't work out for him. But Pittsburgh is a historic franchise. They have second most Super Bowl. No, they have the first most. Like, they're tied with the Patriots for having 6, I believe. So now it seems like the Bears are gonna use their first overall pick, draft Caleb Williams, who, I think Caleb Williams' hype came from 2 years ago, not from last year. In the NFL, it's different, of course. It's a different situation, so he could still do well, but hopefully he can do well. We'll see. But I think out of the top 3 picks, like Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, like I said, I'm biased to LSU, but I think Jaden Daniels might be the best quarterback in that draft, or out of the top 3 picks. I think Caleb Williams might be second, and I think Drake May might be third best. We'll see. But the Bears, they got to know what to do, because they've been slacking on their players. Like, the coaching staff hasn't been great, not at all. They didn't have the right pieces around Justin Fields. I'm blaming him. So they can't just they can't mess up with Caleb Williams. They really can't. Based on their GM trading Fields for a 6th round pick. You think that they know what they're doing? Like, did no other team offer them a 6th round pick? Is Steelers GM that good to convince him to trade a 6th round pick for Justin Fields, who has ultimate potential? Who knows? So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be the draft soon. It's gonna be training camp pretty soon. Well, in a few months, like summertime, and there's gonna be preseason. And there's gonna be a brand new NFL season, and hopefully from now till then, I can be more productive, go along with my life, and do some great things while I'm waiting for NFL to start. Because right now I'm just trying to figure out what to do with my life. But it's okay. I'm figuring it out as I go along. But I just gotta do more things and get more money. In the NBA this weekend, nothing really major. The Raptors lost again. Now they're on a 7-game losing streak. Good for them. On Saturday, Golden State beat the Lakers. There was some, I wouldn't say controversy, but there was a bit of controversy around Golden State and the Lakers game because of something that happened with time clocks and reviews from the referees, and everyone was getting tired of just sitting around doing nothing. And Golden State managed to win. Good for them. I rather Golden State win than the Lakers win. On Sunday, without Giannis, the Bucks beat Phoenix Suns. The Bucks seem to be getting their feet under them now that they're used to having Doc Rivers as their coach, playing better defense. Oh, well, I say playing better defense, but the Bucks won 140 to 129, so there was really no defense in that game. Lillard and Bobby Portis both had big games, and Kevin Durant only had 11 points. But Booker, Beal, even Grayson Allen played rather well, got like 23 points each. And that was like one of the few times that KD, Booker, and Bradley Beal played together. So hopefully they can get the chemistry down for the playoffs and do well. But yeah, they don't seem like they're going to go far because Denver is just too good. Maybe they'll go to the conference finals or something. Phoenix, I hope. I just love KD. That's why I love Devin Booker. So I hope they do well. That's pretty much why I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Phoenix, but I like those two players as far as basketball players go. And then after Phoenix and the Bucks played, Dallas, they got by Denver Nuggets. Kyrie Irving had a ridiculous hook shot with his left hand, a left-handed hook shot, game winner, running hook shot, and that was one of the best game winners of the season. Kyrie, great player, of course. Luka Doncic, great player, and they're up big in that. Well, not big, but they're up by 10 in that game, and then it went down to the wire, and that game winner just bam. It would have gone to overtime because it was tied, but yeah, the game winner was great, and it was an actual buzzer beater. So Kyrie is great. He's always been clutch. I'm sure he practices that shot a lot, and he made it. Good for him. That was a nice shot. So in NHL, it was a quiet weekend. Wasn't much major things, major games. The Leafs were up 4-2 against Carolina with about 3 minutes to go. Carolina pulled their goalie for a 5-on-4, or for 6-on-5, I mean. But then Leafs got a penalty, and it was 6-on-4. Carolina scored 4-3, and then with about 30 seconds to go, Carolina again scored 4-4. Pulled their goalie again, tied at 4-4. Leafs, they're out there chasing the puck, couldn't even touch the puck once. I'm like, come on, just get the puck. They couldn't. Overtime solved nothing, and they lost in a shootout. I guess you can have some of those games sometimes, but you can't. Like the real in playoffs, like that can't happen. It can't. If you're up 4-2 with 2 minutes to go, you have to win that game. Imagine the fans at the Scotiabank Arena, 4-2. Yes, it's gonna be a nice ride home. We're gonna be winning, and just to lose like that in a shootout. Come on, Leafs. Come on, you gotta be better defense. Currently, the Leafs are playing the Panthers in round one. Whether it be Boston, whether it be the Panthers, the Leafs just have to show up. They have the power to beat any team, but they have to show up. And if they getting punked by Boston is one thing, but getting punked by Florida is another thing. And they got punked last year, and if they get punked again, it'll be might have to blow up the team. I don't know. I don't want to say it, but hey. So next Leafs game is Tuesday. They're playing at Philadelphia. Marner, maybe he'll be back for that game. Maybe Joseph Wall might start that game. We'll see. Over the weekend, Ovechkin, he scored goal number 841. So only has 53 more goals to get to Wayne Gretzky's record. Everyone says like Wayne Gretzky, he has like no one's ever gonna ever get more points than him, but that means no one is gonna get more points than him. But if Ovechkin can get more goals than Wayne Gretzky, how are you gonna hate? How are you gonna still bring up the fact that no one's gonna get more points than him? Goals are what people will look at, and being the goals leader over the so-called great one, he is a great one, okay, but if Ovi gets 895, when he gets 895, I hope he gets respected, man. I hope he does. My favorite athlete, and they've just been rude to him because he's Russian, it's that sort of thing. Especially now with what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, he's getting even less respect most likely. Always asking him, "Oh, how you feel about this? How you feel about Putin? Like, what do you expect him to say?" I wonder. But that's a side story. Ovi is the greatest hockey player, greatest goal scorer, and he's great. Austin Matthews hasn't got to 60 goals yet, but hopefully he does. I mean, he's on my fantasy team where goals count for like 2 points, and I'm in the playoffs right now for my fantasy league, and I need to win. So I'm kind of torn, but I need to win my fantasy league this year. I'm tired of losing to my friend. He's always bragging about how he's always winning. Okay, so we're getting closer to the MLB season. This week there's going to be a couple of regular season games. The Padres and the Dodgers are playing in Korea, so that's going to be a nice little preview for the season. Two stacked teams playing in Korea. I'm going to be watching that game, but it's going to be on early in the morning. And I had a couple of MLB drafts this weekend. Tomorrow we'll go into them. I think I did pretty well with those drafts, but you'll be the judge of that if you ever watch this and look at it. But tomorrow I'll show you the screen and we'll talk about it. And some more things to talk about tomorrow. Gonna be March Madness. I mean, I don't think I'll give my predictions just yet, because while the Dodgers and Padres start tomorrow, the season's gonna start on March 28th. So, I mean, my MVPs won't change. I predicted Bryce Harper and Julio Rodriguez to win MVP, and that won't change. Like, those players aren't in Korea playing, and there's no really rookie of the years who are rookie of the year candidates or Cy Young candidates. Well, you never know. Dylan Cease, like Tyler Glasnow, etc. on those two teams, but I don't think Cease is gonna be starting those games. But I wouldn't pick Cease or Glasnow to win Cy Young, and after one start, it wouldn't be set in stone anyways. So I'll give my predictions for the awards for MLB later on in the next week. Just trying to build a hype up for my always right predictions, and then it being March, tomorrow is gonna be the first game of March Madness, like the play-in tournament for March Madness sort of thing, with like the mid teams playing to get into face the better teams. Number one on the men's side, Connecticut, Purdue, Houston, and North Carolina. That's my team. Michael Jordan School, Vince Carter School, Tyler Hansbrough, Harrison Barnes. I'm missing a lot of players, but historic team, of course. And the women's side, which I'll probably make a bracket for too, just because they're getting more recognition these days. The women, number ones on that side are South Carolina, Iowa, USC, and Texas Tech. In the women's bracket, there's not that many upsets. I mean, LSU won last year. I don't think they were number one really, but they won, so that was good. But we'll see. I'll give my predictions for March Madness, but for the men's side, I'm gonna pick North Carolina, of course. But that's not even, it's hardly biased because they've been good all season. They beat Duke twice. They lost the ACC tournament, but it's okay. like Houston was upset in the ACC tournament. Um, I don't know if Purdue, what happens to Purdue in Connecticut, but I don't know, it's tough. ACC is a tough conference. Okay, so that wraps up episode 9 of Dub's Paradise. Tomorrow we'll go into some MLB talk, and like I said, March Madness, football. Nothing exciting is going on. Talk about the Miami Open later on in the week when it's about to start. I'll get my predictions for that. And it's a cold day in Toronto. Hopefully, wherever you're watching, it's going to be a warm day for you. Go outside, enjoy it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what I should talk about. Any sort of ideas you have for segments, etc. Let me know. Thanks for watching and have a great day.